All right, welcome back to the Parkour UK podcast. In 2026, we're up north, doing a few podcasts up here in Leeds because we can't let the South and London have all the love. And we've got a bit of a northern legend, Tom Redfern, on the pod today. I'm really excited about this one because Tom, firstly, he's done a lot of work with us at Parkour UK, and we did the team podcast. And you're no longer a permanent member of the team, so we didn't get into your stuff then. So we'll get into that. We'll get into his career as one of the most decorated national competitors in parkour. There's been some awesome stuff done then, and you're now a gym owner of like one of the biggest and best parkour gyms in the UK. So thanks so much for coming on, and we'll start how we always start these pods with what is your origin story for getting into parkour?
Cool. So there's two origin stories I like to tell people. There's when I officially started parkour. I was 16. In my first year of college, there was a guy called Will Tomlinson who ran a company called New Perspective.
Can I get a year on this?
This was 2010, September 24th, 2010.
Oh, you got a date.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
good. So that's 16 years. That's a strong number.
Yeah,
Continue.
yeah. So he was running parkour classes around the Bury, Bolton area, and he came and did some parkour classes on a Friday lunchtime at my college. I saw it on the extracurricular stuff and just like zoned in on it straight away. Turned up to that and I've never looked back. I absolutely fell in love with it there. But that wasn't my first experience of parkour. The reason I kind of jumped into that class so readily was because when I was 14, my younger brother had shown me a video of a guy running up a wall and doing a backflip on YouTube. And naturally, 14-year-old boys think they're immortal. So me and my younger brother, school holidays, my parents were at work. We had the house to ourselves. We thought, right, we're going to learn how to do this.
Sick.
So we watched a video on YouTube, watched a couple of tutorials, and we're like, just put your foot on a wall and lean back. It's not that hard, surely. So we pulled all of the mattresses in my mum's house, like all four of them, piled them up on top of each other next to the wall of the house, and we're like, cool, let's be smart about this at least. We're going to run up the wall, put our foot on it, and jump and land on our backs on the crash mats. Not crash mats,
That is a good prep.
Yeah, we thought, like, never done any parkour before, never done any gymnastics training. Let's do it this way. Let's be safe and just land on our backs. Turns out you can still feel concrete through 4 mattresses. So
It depends on the mattresses, I guess, but yeah.
These were well-worn mattresses.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we quickly scrapped that idea, put all the mattresses back in the house, and we had a trampoline in the garden. So it was one of those ones with the netting around it. We're like, well, next best thing is to run, put your foot on the pole that holds the net up,
Sure,
and try and flip over on the trampoline. Actually went quite successfully. Getting over to your knees and your hands on the other side. So again, it was the next step is to try it on grass. Grass is nature's crash mat, surely, right? So the only patch of grass with a wall next to it near my house was one that was a hill. And the wall was like just probably about my hip height now. So it wasn't really high enough to get a nice foot placement on it. And we still thought, yeah, what's the worst that could happen? So I'm running up this hill, 2 steps on a wall that has no room for 2 steps. 2 steps, yeah. 2 steps was how I learned, apparently. And yeah, after about the whole process from mattresses to the grass was about 4 hours long on this one day, and I landed one.
That's a massive success.
Honestly, so I've got the video. It's somewhere on YouTube
Really?
still.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll show you that later. But
Wow.
yeah, after about 20 attempts on grass, landing on my head, like bailing out to the side and all that, I got one landed. I thought it was God. I was in.
Yeah, mate,
That was incredible.
I'm so jealous of people with these origin stories where they just started flipping and then started parkour. I did 3 years of parkour before I ever did a backflip.
Well. So 3 weeks after I'd done that, like I only landed one that day. I was like, I can still do this. I tried it on a tree at Heaton Park in Manchester and sprained my ankle.
Oh,
And
landing, yeah.
Then had a big mental block with flips for a long time. So I was one of these, back in the day, there was the flips aren't parkour people.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys.
Yeah.
And I think it was just born out of, I was scared of flips and I had had one bad experience with them. So yeah, like I avoided flips like the plague until about 2016. That's when I started actually doing flips again.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, those are my two origin stories. I officially started parkour in 2010. I taught myself how to do a wall flip in 2008.
I mean, that's
14.
sick. Like, yeah, that's a fun way to get into it, because that's what gets the flips are the appealing thing, they're the exciting thing, learning to do that. To this day, like you do a backflip and people generally be more impressed than like a massive jump. That's the game. But I don't fault you for the mental barrier. Like I did early into my parkour, I was doing palm spins. Where you kind of spin around on your palm on a corner, and I was doing them on a flat bit, like the 180 palm spins. And I learned that in like my first few months of parkour. One day I did one, came up, smashed my shin down like terribly, was like injured really badly for a week. To this day, I've never done it again.
You don't palm spins? Oh,
To
Max.
this day, I mean, I probably could, but I never did it again. So I almost think it's funnier just to not do it. now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I was defeated by that like one injury.
So have you skipped the whole wall spin fad of like 2012?
Yeah, I done like 1 or 2 wall spins, but generally speaking, yeah, I kind of
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All the stuff you can do, and palm spins are the thing that
Yeah, no,
really fused. Love it.
yeah, it's kind of funny. I kind of just play into the one dimensionality now. But how's your 16 years of training? How's your sort of focus in parkour shifted over time? Because um I don't know what your earliest era was like, but then you obviously had this shift into being like this great competitor with the takeovers, with the speed. So I guess what throughout the years has been like your focus? Like you go out trying to hit hard challenges, trying to train for something specific, and how has that changed?
So yeah, there's definitely been at least 3 different phases to my parkour training. There was the first 5 years, which was I was just going out with friends, we were prattling around, like the proper teenage parkour where you go out with your mates, you'll do a couple of jumps, then sit on a wall throwing little rainbow drops into a Coke can, or like
Yeah.
playing football, tennis over a wall, like just messing around, and you do a few jumps. Like that was my first 5 years. We go out and do some training, but it's more just about the social aspect. 2015, I started coaching, and that's when my mentality started to shift a little bit. Got a little bit more focused on the actual training. Like I was quite lucky that I was naturally strong from like just being a feral child who liked to climb and jump on things. So I didn't need to spend a lot of time focusing on the conditioning side of things. The skill came quite naturally because again, I had that physical literacy from whatever I'd done as a kid.
Yep.
But 2015 was where I was like, right, time to actually start training parkour, not just doing parkour. Like I like to think there's a bit of a differentiation between the people who do parkour for a little bit of fun and the people who train parkour. And you're looking at like your Ed Scotts who are like actually work hard at it. So
Yeah. I think some people like to be defined as an athlete and some don't as well. And I find there's distinctions there. There's a bunch of ways you can slice it, but there definitely are varying degrees of seriousness and how you're conducting your parkour training. Yeah.
So it was absolutely that. So it was my initial infancy phase where I just like enjoyed moving. Like I loved doing big challenges, like big running jumps were my favorite thing in the world. And then transitioned into more of a coaching phase where it was about working hard, like putting in the effort just to see the little bits of success rather than just having fun with my friends.
Like what? Like what would be an example of that? Let's spill water on myself.
So that was around the time where I got my first muscle up, for example, which I was working. My first coaching job was in a place that actually had access to bars, and I'd never been able to do any of that outside. There's just no good urban laches, or there wasn't, at least around Bury. So yeah, it was like, I want to be able to do big laches. I need to be able to do a muscle up at some point to be able to get above the bar and cast into it, this kind of thing. And like, it was the kind of stuff that you don't just get from basic training. Like muscle ups, at least for me, was something that we had to work towards. It was a strength move rather than just.
Yeah, how did you work towards your muscle up? I'm actually really curious.
Honestly, it was just trial and error. Like we had
like doing pull-ups, just trying them, or
literally just trying muscle ups. The difference between a muscle up and you like gymnastics float up.
Oh, like
you kip up, yeah.
Right.
I learned to kip up by accident while trying to learn giants. It was one of those like I got above the bar thinking, right, I'll learn giants. Did my big cast, got up to nearly going over, crapped myself, and like my feet started folding in on it, and it naturally kind of started throwing me a little bit above the bar. So I kind of learned the technique by accident and then got that. But in terms of how I learned a muscle up, it was just trial and error. Like there was a group of 5 of us who were all roughly similar strengths, but all kind of at that same level where we wanted a muscle up. We wanted to be able to do it, to be able to do a decent climb up. And it was just the 5 of us relentlessly trying until one of us got it. And then that kind of pulled the rest of us to be able to get it. There was no real technique, no like
just trial and no like strength work in the gym or like for it.
No, so I only started my strength work in the gym about 3-4 years ago. So again, in my infancy of parkour, as soon as I started coaching, it was about like refining my technique, getting better at parkour. But I was explicitly doing any work in the gym isn't needed because you should get stronger doing parkour, which I've obviously flicked my mentality on that now.
A lot of people kind of thought that way though, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I get it, like I still will argue that you don't need to do strength work in the gym to do parkour.
Sure.
But if you want to be highest level athlete you can be, so when my mentality switched more towards I want to be an athlete, I want to compete, I want to look after myself and all this kind of stuff, looking at longevity and high performance, that's when I said,
It's those two things: longevity, injury prevention, and high performance. The most power and speed you can get. Of course, you're going to want to do strength.
that's when my mentality shifted. I was like, right, I want to start taking competitions more seriously.
Yeah.
I need this alongside it. I can no longer just get by on being naturally strong by doing parkour. You've got to do the supplementary things to look after your body, stretching as well, mobility and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
no, 100%. I'm super big on that. But yeah, I just found it interesting about the muscle up because I kind of learned to muscle up twice, and I'm still like not
Okay.
really proficient at it. When I was a kid, like really, really early into parkour, I learned it like starting like trial and error, like you. Although I had some people who could do it teaching me, but I found the best way was start with the bar on your waist, down, back up, gives you
Negatives, yeah.
negatives, like gives you a bit of a push. So I did a few like that, and then I didn't do it for like I don't know, like 7 like so long, right? How you teach kids? Oh my god, I
Yeah.
can't believe I said that. Anyway, yeah, I didn't do it for years later, and one day I was just in a park and I tried, and I'd been like 3, 4 years into doing weighted pull-ups, and I could just do it
Amazing.
because I just strengthened it. Like, if you do enough weighted pull-ups, your regular pull-up goes from like neck to like chest, and then eventually you can just do it. But it was like no technique. I just had the strength.
So we had a guy turn up to our gym, like he came for the first time just towards the start of December. And a couple of sessions in, we're doing a little bit of conditioning at the end, working on muscle up. So we've got all the bands out and all that kind of stuff. And this guy turns around to us and he's coming. He's a strong guy, like he's jumping, like box jumping up to like my chest height
Yeah.
with no prior parkour training. He's just a strong person.
Lifters are the ones with the biggest box jumps. Yeah.
He's ridiculous. And he's come in and we've got to the muscle up training. He's gone, I've never been able to do a muscle, like no matter how many times I try at the gym, he gets on the bar and I kid you not, Max, with almost the most perfect form, no kip, anything, he gets straight above it. And I was like, you can't do this to the other people in the class. And yeah, he swears blind. He's never done one before, but yeah, like
You just had the strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you do it with like perfect, super clean technique, it's so hard to do. But I guess if you're just strong enough, like, and then I see some of the skinniest kids ever just do them impeccably because their technique's good, they're fast twitch and whatever, right?
Yeah. My favorite thing ever. We had a 7-year-old do a muscle up a few years ago. Like he's growing up a little bit now, but yeah, in one of our youngest classes, like, and I've got a video of it somewhere. It's not a clean muscle up, like it's a elbow at a time.
Sure.
But a 7-year-old being able to do that just blew my mind completely.
Speaking of 7-year-olds and like younger kids, I find they're the best because we had a competition at a event in Biarritz. There's a competition of who can do the dead hang the longest, and it was like a 5-year-old who won with 15 minutes because their power to weight ratio is so high.
That's
The same
incredible.
reason that like the women absolutely destroyed the Storers when they did it as well. Because I feel like
Didn't watch that video.
the less you weigh, so they almost doubled the times of the men, right?
Unbelievable.
Because they're like incredibly strong, capable women, and they also weigh less.
Yeah.
And so I think, and this kid was just blew my mind. I guess the less you weigh, the better you are at that. But
Yeah.
getting slightly more back on track. So you had that more serious phase with your coaching.
Yep.
When did you get into and then you touched on it briefly there, starting to condition, starting to do strength. Why did you get into the competition focus? And was it the focus, or was it like kind of half and half?
It's a bit weird. So it's not a focus as such. It's for me, the competition is a way of challenging myself without having to go out, train, and think, right, I want to do this challenge, I want to do this challenge. It's like putting everything I've learned to the test. It's not that I'm training because I want to go and win competitions. It's I do the competitions to see what value my training has had.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Nice.
Which again was, I think, the big switch because I mentioned in that coaching phase when I first started teaching, I was very anti-competition as well. Like competitions have nothing to do with parkour. It'll lead to injuries, people trying to outdo each other, ego, all that kind of thing. And then I did my first parkour competition at Fluidity Free Run back in 2019. The competition itself was an absolute flop. Like no offense to Fluidity or anything, but I think they had maybe like 10 to 11 people sign up for it. Like for whatever reason, marketing wasn't there, XYZ. But we'd been down to Fluidity for a couple of the birthday jams, absolutely loved the venue, loved the people, like great sessions every time we went. So when we saw they were doing a competition, we're like, let's go show them some support. We'll turn up. So we brought a couple of our guys from up north and we turned up and it was, I think, 3 of us. couple of the locals, and then the Storm Free Run team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
like
crazy.
there were Ed, Tim, Hendo, and Charlie back when he was
Just like the best athletes in the world,
Yeah.
basically.
And me and my guys were like, they're like, kind of don't stand a chance here. Like we turn up, and obviously these guys have all turned up being promised big prize money, and
sure.
because not many people showed up, they like had to rejig a little bit of that so that only like first place got prize money and second, third didn't get anything.
Right,
So,
because they didn't get the entries.
yes, so
Yeah,
they
kind of fair. Yeah.
the Storm guys, they were very disappointed, understandably, but for me it was like a really nice entry to competition because it put me on a level with these absolute heroes of mine.
There was no pressure.
Yeah.
Because you're not expected to win, and you did get to a point in your career where you were, and
Yeah.
I saw you rise to that occasion. But yeah, it's much nicer to just be like, well, whatever happens, happens.
Exactly. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I didn't embarrass myself. Like I think I came third in speed, I think. Third in speed. I came third in style, which I only beat Charlie Havel by 0.1 point. And the guy improvised his entire line.
Did he? Oh, wow.
And I'd like really meticulously planned mine, and he was still that close to me just by improvising. Like, fair play, Charlie. Like, he probably doesn't even remember that because that competition was so forgettable for him.
No,
But
he's got style there.
yeah, he really, really has. So yeah, I went to that. Absolutely loved the experience. Surprised myself with how well I did, even against these absolute behemoths of athletes at the time. So I was like, signed up for Project Underground 2020.
Right. Do you know which one that was?
Oh,
Because they're coming up to Project Underground 13 now.
8 or 9.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Might have been there. Yeah.
Or, yeah, I want to say it was 8 or 9. It was the year before you hosted one.
Before the first time I hosted with Jan.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think it was the year before.
I
that.
think-
Oh, it was before COVID.
Yeah, I think I was there.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I remember from the moment you started hitting them,
Yeah.
you were like a pretty dominant force in the competitions.
Yeah. So I turned up to that first one again with that expectation of I'm just going to go and have fun, like use it as a test of my abilities. And I came third in both skill and speed again against pretty like household names in parkour. I was like,
Yeah, Hendo was still competing then.
yeah, Hendo was still competing.
Actually, I think I came.
I think I
fourth or
beat
fifth
Hendo that year actually.
No, I think you did because I think I
Yeah.
came 5th and he came 4th.
Fourth, yeah.
And yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah,
that's
no,
right.
that was good.
Yeah. I was like so close. I was gassed. Yeah. He
Yeah.
was the man to beat.
He was,
Yeah,
and then obviously Nelms and what's the guy, the French guy, Charles.
Charles Boujard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
People had their heyday, but they didn't last long. The peaks in speed. Yeah.
So yeah, like I didn't embarrass myself, and I was really, really surprised. And also, Project Underground, as I'm sure you know, absolutely fantastic event where it's nowhere near what I assumed competitions were back when I was like anti-competition. Like ego, it was not people throwing for the sake of a win and then injuring themselves. Like, it was so supportive. Everybody had a great time. Like it was a thrilling event. Like absolutely loved
It's
it.
a chance to push yourself. And, it's like you said, like the chance to show off what you do and push yourself, but also to do that with everyone supporting you,
Yeah.
with the spotlight on you and everyone's behind you. I think that's something that almost gets overlooked.
Yeah.
It's like 200-300 people in a room, all there wanting you to succeed. Like it's a beautiful thing.
And I think it's only overlooked by the people that have never actually put themselves in that boat. Like the people that are there, they all know it. They all get it. Like they may not appreciate it as much as they could, but like it's such a different environment to the one I'd been assuming competitions were. And yeah, it was kind of that Project Underground 8 or 9 or whichever one it was that really kind of made me say, right, I want to actually go and try competitions.
Yeah.
I'm doing well, I'm enjoying it, and it's completely the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And then yeah, I basically just kept going to competitions, starting to gradually do better and better, had that mindset shift of I'm going to start training for strength, training my body to actually like compete as an athlete rather than just someone who does parkour and see where I can get to. So yeah, that's kind of been my mentality for the last few years up until last year, where I'm now gym owner, and my mentality's shifted a little bit to where I've got to make this business work.
Yeah.
Don't have as much time to be committing to the competitions and stuff. Still go and do the competitions, still love them, still really want to take them seriously, but need to find more time in my day-to-day life once the business kind of side of things is kind of settled.
So it's taken a back foot because it has to, because that's life, right?
Pretty much.
Sure. No, that makes total sense. And before we get on to that, because that is really what I want to get stuck into is the whole Project Z. Project Z? How you pronounce that story. How would you describe the difference between the takeovers and speed? Because you've had great success in speed competitions and skill, and then but the takeovers you were like, no one was really close to in those. And so, well, I guess what is the takeover briefly for people that don't know, and how do you find that experience? Because I've never done one, but I think they're fantastic.
So yeah, Takeover, it's a parkour skill competition. Organisers will get everyone to come to a city for a day. They'll have set X amount of challenges around the city with little Google Maps thing with pins where all the challenges are, pictures of what the challenges are and a description, and they'll give you X amount of time to complete them. I think the Parkour Takeover League in 2024 we were 8-hour days. Close to 100 challenges per day to try and complete.
It's like an endurance event, really.
Oh yeah. And yeah, they were absolutely fantastic. I loved them. So I think they're more like parkour training than any other type of competition. Because it was just, you get dumped in a city, you wander between parkour spots, you've got a list of challenges to do there. Yes, these are given to you by someone else rather than you coming up with your own, but it's still very, very, it feels like parkour training. Like,
you're still jamming with people. You're still helping each other through the challenges.
Exactly.
You're still like, there's that total communal environment, let's say.
Absolutely. So yeah, like they took off when I think it was Liam Norbury and Adam Dorr. I think you're doing Liam's podcast later, or
yeah. So Liam's
well.
coming in later today. I'm not sure what order they'll be released in. And Adam Dorr will be on tomorrow.
Amazing.
We're gonna get them in the Nova. So we're gonna talk to all these Northern legends. Yeah.
Yeah. So Liam Norbury and Adam Dorr did the first takeover, Sheffield takeover, back in 2021 or 22. I can't remember the year exactly. And I very nearly didn't sign up for that. I was injured at the time. It was an outdoors competition. I was like, if the weather's crap and I'm injured, like, I don't really want to be committing to do 2 days trudging around Sheffield, especially while at the time, whenever I wanted to go and do an event at the weekend, I had to cancel classes because I didn't have people to cover for me.
Yeah, wow.
So I was like, I've got to take the financial hit. I've got to disappoint a lot of students. I'm going to be trudging around in the rain. I'm not in top shape. And then, like, the week before, in typical parkour fashion, I was like, nah, sod it. I'm just going to get it.
Yeah. It must be so hard running an event like that because no one signs up until like days before.
Honestly, Max, don't even start. That's a whole other
thing. Yeah, facts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I turned up to that one. Again, no expectations because I didn't know exactly what the format was going to look like. Didn't know where I stacked against anyone else there. Like in the speed competitions and the skill competitions, like I'd kind of got to a stage where I knew roughly where I was at now.
Yeah.
In the indoor stuff.
Sure.
Had no idea what this was going to look like because indoors training and outdoors training, as I'm sure you know, is very, very different.
Yeah,
it's a whole different.
And also, this is the only like ever really endurance parkour event, except maybe that 1 minute speed course in China, which is a form of endurance. But but like it's the only real endurance event that's been done in parkour.
Yeah. And yeah, it was a 2-day thing. You set off at, I think it was like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. on Saturday, and you had until 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. on the Sunday to do as many as you could, as long as the organisers could see a clip of you doing it and like could visibly see where it was being done. So even if you wanted to do it in the dark, you could literally go the entire night.
Oh yeah, because it was a 2-day. Yeah. Cool.
And yeah, I surprised myself. I was way more dominant in that than I could ever have imagined. I think the scores at that first one, I got like 69 challenges done out of 100 over 2 days, and the next closest was 53. So it was like,
yeah, it was a clear margin.
It was a clear margin, and
nice.
then the more of these takeovers happened, the more I realized that I don't think it's definitely not because I'm more skilled than any of these other people. I think it's just I took it more seriously. Like unapologetic.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Like, and I respect that because it always really bothered me when people at parkour competitions saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna give it a go," but like it's like whatever. I'll see how I do, or maybe I'll drop out. And like no, like you really want to win. I can tell.
Yeah.
Just admit it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to. I think it makes you vulnerable to look like you're trying hard and then fall short. Right.
Exactly.
But like, too bad. That's sport. Just get involved. Like, I hate this mindset of like, oh, I'm just going to maybe dip my toe in.
Yeah.
Just go for it, man. So yeah, I respect that fully.
And it's exactly that. And like I said, I see competitions as a way of challenging what my training has been worth up to this point. So it's not like I'm going in saying, if I don't win, I'm going to be really upset. I've got 100 challenges here. How many of them can I do?
Don't hold back. Just go for it, man.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I do. Like, that's, I think, why I was so successful. It wasn't because I was that much more skillful than anyone else. It's I just committed to it.
Well, I went to one of them that you were competing in. I didn't compete. I had to jump around. But what stuck out to me is that you were getting challenges in 2-3 attempts that might take people several more attempts, and that was a clear differentiator, right? It's like most of the top people could hit the challenge, but you were just getting it done quicker, and the efficient mindset, you're like, right, on to the next one.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just high level and focus,
It-
and then capacity for work, a bit of the Ed Scott effect, like being able to handle going all day, right? And that comes down to the conditioning as well. But yeah, it's not to be understated, the taking seriously of it, and for sure, I think we're starting to see more of that now, because you need it if you want to do well in any form of parkour competition. The level's
100%.
always rising.
Well, that's what I'm noticing at the moment as well. Like last Project Underground was the first Project Underground where I didn't make it onto a podium in
Yeah,
any
because
format.
you worked your way of your bronze, you won a couple, right? And
I
then
got a couple of, I think I got one win in speed and a couple of seconds.
Sure.
I've been on the podium a couple of times in third for skill.
Sure.
Skill's the one I want. I
Yeah.
want skill so bad.
Skill is sick. Skill is out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so because you've been always right on that precipice, you feel more than anyone when the level rises, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
Last year the game changed completely. Like you can't.
Was it Ramon last year?
Ramon took first.
He was
in
unbelievable in speed.
He was
He was
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
And then even so, I think Ed got second and Joel got third. And
Joel, Swedish
guy, yeah.
Joel, yeah.
He took me by surprise as well, because I've always seen him as a skill athlete, but he apparently started taking
Yeah.
speed training seriously.
Yeah.
Just nudged me out. I was like, "Come on, dude!"
Yeah. That fourth place is tough to deal with.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
for
really,
sure.
really tough. And then skill, I didn't even make it through to the finals last year.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
no, second year that's happened, but the year previously I was injured again, and like I'd been ill in the run up to the comp, so I was like, I'm not surprised I didn't do as well as anyone else there.
I think it's the toughest competition. Now, there are so many ways to quantify that, but I think in a lot of ways, it's the toughest competition.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's my favorite to watch by far.
Yeah.
And to commentate, so yeah. No, look, fair play. Well, I hope you crack on and keep doing well in comps. But
year.
I want to talk about this business. So take me
Yes.
back to you. Even before the gym, you were running classes, right? Let's go through the whole story and see what we can what information we can give people, because I feel like every time almost anyone starts a parkour gym, they really feel like they're doing it for the first time, and there's so little information and support out there. Maybe they'll have one mentor who's done it before, but generally, like, it'd be nice if we can start to give them a leg up, right?
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, yeah, how did you start in your parkour coaching business journey that led to this amazing gym you have now?
So the abbreviated version, I taught for another company for the first year of my teaching.
Outdoors.
No, it was a company called Evolve. They've closed down now, but it was an indoor facility in Manchester.
Okay.
We left on very bad terms because the manager had XYZ problems. That is again, a whole other podcast to go into. But yeah, we left on bad terms, which then left me with the issue of I'd been teaching there for a year, and as far as I was aware at the time, I was unqualified to do literally anything else. So it was either I set up my own coaching business, or I go back to the jobs I was doing beforehand, which is just like warehouse work, like unskilled manual labor. I was good at it. It was fine. It paid the wages. It let me do my training alongside it, but I didn't want to go back to that.
Well, this is the jump you have to make, like with coaching, right? At some point, you have to make a jump from being a parkour coach to an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Which are two completely different things. But if you want to build like a real career from it, I feel like with a couple of exceptions that have sort of managed to do workshops and stuff consistently without actually running a gym, I feel like that's the route you had to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like at the time I was definitely not an entrepreneur, but I did have a lot of assistance from my dad, who runs his own company as well.
Great.
He runs a recruitment company, so completely different industries, but the way to run a business, all the little bits of nitty gritty that go into the startup of it, it was fantastic. Really, really helped me out with that.
Yeah, business is business, and I feel like that'd be so useful. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I left there and I was like, not going to go back to the unskilled manual labor. I'm going to actually go in at this. I'm going to try hard. So we set up some classes. We started with outdoors classes because, again, I had no money up front to start paying for venue hire. We had a good following of people that followed me from that first job at Evolve.
So you had that customer base.
Exactly. Like our first outdoor class with 2 weeks notice had 20 people turn up.
Beautiful.
Which is, in my year since, is unheard of.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was literally just by making a Facebook event, and these people found it because they've been looking for us.
This is all in Manchester, by the way.
Yeah. So this was Salford, so like just outside Manchester.
Wait, so you're born and raised in Salford?
Bury.
So
just north of Manchester.
Just north, yeah. Okay.
So started setting up what we call satellite clubs. So I did classes in Bury, did classes in Salford. Eventually found work for a trampoline park, oxygen free jumping. I think oxygen free jump or something.
So you taught in their trampoline park?
Taught in their trampoline park. They had an agreement with the Future Free Running Academy.
Oh, so yeah, okay.
Time,
Which is London based, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But obviously they've got one of these trampoline parks was in London.
Yeah.
They had a parkour area built for the Future Free Running Academy to operate out of.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And they did one in their Manchester and Wigan sites. When they opened them, they opened up a Future Free Running Academy in both. And I ended up teaching in those eventually. So
do they still exist?
No, they're closed down as well.
Right. I was gonna say I've like never heard of them.
No, that's why.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so they closed down as well eventually, but I was teaching those for a while, which was a nice like bump up to getting everything sorted. We built a nice customer base around those classes, around my own classes, and it was just satellite clubs for a long time. I built up a good relationship with a circus school in Manchester and Stockport, hired their spaces to run parkour classes out of, and it was just that for a long time. And then 2019, we started thinking, right, I want to open up a gym.
Yeah.
It was always the end goal. Even from just a selfish point of view, I wanted an indoor space where I could train all the things that I didn't want to do outside. Like,
no, but that's really key because I feel like more often than not, that gets lost. You know, like the willingness, the drive, just the energy to train when you're running a business, you know? And so still having that, like, and you still have it to this day, even though, you know, maybe you have less time than you'd like to train. That's really an awesome thing and I really commend that to be able to maintain.
It was one of the things that when I started coaching, I said, I'm not going to fall into that trap, because the guy who taught me, I've already mentioned, Will Tomlinson, who ran New Perspective, he turned around to me and said, when you start coaching, you stop training.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to keep my love for parkour. I'm going to keep training it. Yes, maybe it'll slow down a little bit, and if I don't have
like
the time
any job would, you know, that's adult life slows it down. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But my motivation for opening a gym, the first and foremost one, other than I want my students to improve, I want to offer this to my students, was I want a space where I can train all the things that I can't do outdoors. I want a foam pit. I want a bar above the foam pit to practice my swinging flips. I want a sprung floor. I want all of the big towers. I want
awesome.
That was my kind of guiding light. This is what I want. Obviously, everything else is also what I want, but if I have selfish reasons, I'm more likely to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're more likely to train if you build things specifically you want to train on as well.
Exactly. So yeah, 2019, we started looking for a venue. Like business was going well.
But that took ages, didn't it?
Yeah. So it was 2016 we started the business. So 3 years.
I mean, it took ages to find the venue.
Oh, wow.
I vaguely remember this. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun, but yeah, get into it.
No. So yeah, 2019 we started looking. Went and had a few viewings. Nothing really stood out. And then COVID happened in 2020.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay. So you hadn't locked it down before COVID. Probably a good thing.
Yeah,
all things considered,
in hindsight. Although, having said that, Team Reality got theirs just as COVID hit as well, and they've done all right.
Well, I'm getting those boys in. Again, I'm not sure in the release order, but right after we kick Tom out of here, they're coming in, and we're gonna get into that. So yeah.
So that'll be a really, really good one. But yeah, COVID happened, which basically shot our finances to hell. Because obviously we were the last industry to be able to reopen.
Yeah.
We also had to reopen like at partial capacity. So where we had class capacity of up to 20 kids previously, we're only allowing 8 or 10 in the class for social distancing purposes. Wow. So it like cut our finances pretty much in half.
Wow.
It was.
Did you get any support because of that, or not really?
So we got furlough pay.
Okay.
We'd been paying myself and my other coaches through PAYE for years at this point, so we got the support from the government to pay the coaches and pay my wage, so I wasn't struggling for money personally.
Okay.
But the business got no support because we're a limited company.
Yeah.
I think we could have got stuff, but I was so much in the, well, if I'm claiming money for being furloughed, because everything was so uncertain at the time.
Yeah.
The rule was that if you're furloughed, you can't go and do any work. So I was deliberately avoiding all admin work and saying, right, I'm not doing anything, just in case anyone tried to chase it up, because it was so uncertain at the time on what they were going to say you can and can't claim money for, and I needed the financial support.
You need to keep the furlough.
Yeah, like I had rent and bills to pay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't go looking into any of that. I didn't do any business work for that amount of time. So yeah, it shot our finances to hell. We built up to a stage where we could start looking for a venue again around 22, 23. 2023, we started really going in looking for a space, and we just kept hitting brick wall after brick wall. Basically, I think as a byproduct of COVID, and because I'd switched my focus, like in those years, I'd become a bit more into competitions. I wanted to get a venue that would be good for events, not just like a little venue that would be good for teaching classes. Like Team Reality, they've got a fantastic venue for teaching classes, running workshops, all that kind of thing. But in terms of if they wanted to run a national championships or like a massive Project Underground event in there, they can't quite accommodate for it.
Yeah, they do run events, but yeah, there's a scary cap, isn't there?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like, there's a limit to what they can do in the space that they've got, and I didn't want that. I wanted a space where I could like the ceiling was higher.
That's for sure.
So yeah, because we were looking for a bigger space, because COVID happened and a load of leisure facilities were all the last ones to open, or they had to close down because they didn't get the support. Nobody would even give us a viewing. We'd call them up. We'd say, "Can we organise a viewing for this?" "Yeah, that's great. What are you looking to use it for?" "Oh, we're running parkour classes, running kids fitness classes. We're running a sports club." Like, I tried every variation of this. I said, "Oh yeah, landlord's not looking at taking leisure on at the moment," and just pretty much hung up the phone.
Yeah, no leisure whatsoever. Wow.
Yeah, so we went through about a year of that and got absolutely nowhere. Got totally sick of it and hired a lease negotiator on the recommendation of Kieran Wild, who runs Aspire.
Okay, yeah.
He said they got a lease negotiator to organise their lease in their building. Soon as we hired him, he found us viewings within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Like,
wow.
so I don't know what he did differently. Like, he knows the estate agents and all this kind of stuff. Like, he's got those relationships. So he said he's sent them an email saying, "I've got this customer looking for this, 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 and this. What have you got for us?" And we had viewings within 2 weeks, which I hadn't managed to get myself in the best part of 8 months.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it almost legitimized you going through this person who has these connections. So that obviously, I guess that's a big tip for people struggling.
Huge tip.
Yeah,
It does cost money.
yeah.
The whole process of what he did, from finding us a venue, getting us viewings, negotiating the lease and all the terms of it before we even got solicitors involved, it was $7,000.
Yeah.
Which
Hopefully he's negotiated you perhaps better terms than you would have yourself.
I think he has, yeah.
As like an incentive to do it financially, but yeah, it's upfront for sure.
So yeah, it's a big expense, but it was the only thing that got us in.
Yeah.
It was the only thing that got us viewings. So if we hadn't paid that money, we'd still be looking, as far as I'm concerned.
For sure.
And then, we found a venue. He negotiated all the terms of the lease and everything. It was great. Final battle was the change of use, which took about 10 months start to finish to get approved.
To make
by
it
the
a
council.
leisure facility as opposed to whatever it was before.
Industrial use or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We went through a pre-planning application. We then put in our first application, which got soft rejected, where they basically turned around to us and said, "Based on your application, we can't say yes to this. We recommend you hire a planning consultant to give us X, Y, Z." Like, these last little bits that I didn't have the legal jargon or knowledge to.
Just needed a professional.
Yeah, which someone had recommended it already, but that was another $2,500 on top of everything we'd already paid. And I was looking for any way to cut costs, because between the $7,000 for the lease negotiator, $2,500 for the planning consultant, $3,000 for solicitors, deposit of the building, which came to about $22,000.
Oh wow.
Like, I was crapping money. Like,
I was just that's why it's so hard, right?
But like, I got so deep into this process that it was either I kept throwing money at it, or
it's all gone.
I've lost 10, $15,000 by the time I get to this stage. I'm like, right, take my money, solve the problem, get us in, and we can work from there.
Yeah.
So that was essentially what we did. Like, just kept throwing money at the problem, and it was great. Like, it did work. It wasn't great from a bank account, but we're in. We're set up. We've got the building running, and
So you got like a multi-year lease to start with, or how's it work?
So the lease negotiator got us a 10-year lease, with a rent review at 5 years and breakout clauses at years 3, 6, and obviously 10. So
I don't know anything about these leases, but to me that sounds very good.
Like I said, I've shown it to people, and some people have said that's an absolutely fantastic lease. He's done a great job. Other people have said, I think he could have done a little bit better in terms of like getting the rent down for us on a monthly basis. But yeah, in terms of
Will you get him involved again for the renegotiation in 5 years, whatever?
I don't know actually. I don't know if that's something he does potentially.
I was just curious. Yeah.
So like the lease is a 10-year thing, so I think it will just be a negotiation of the new rent.
That's what I mean. Just the
Yeah,
new number, right?
like worth looking at him, but
Yeah,
realistically,
yeah.
if it's going to cost me 7 grand to get him, and
Well, yeah,
like
exactly.
see what works
Maybe
out.
you probably have a much better idea of what you should be paying, what like the increases are in the space and so on,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
But because obviously that's like a pretty important number.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, can't remember what the question was before that, but
Yeah, so you got in there. Tell me about the build. So, you got to learn to be a carpenter now, essentially, right?
yeah. So
Basically, everyone builds their own gyms, right?
I'd done little bits of building previously as part of my satellite clubs. Like I said, we built up a good relationship with the circus schools in Manchester where we could store a little bit more substantial equipment. So I built some wooden towers during that, some homemade vault boxes and stuff. We had a big scaffolding set up, which was all just like scrap bars. So we'd had them cut down to size and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like building a gym is a very different beast.
Mm.
I must have spent hours upon hours on the phone to Jake Harris and Liam Norbury over the
Yeah.
month leading up to my gym opening, saying, "Guys, how do I make this sturdy? Like, what? Like, basically, just asking for the specs of what they've built, how they've done it. Like, even just from when I'm building the frame of my structures, how far apart should the beams in?
I think this is the one area where there is some information in the parkour space for it.
Yeah.
I even remember seeing a Facebook page back in the day called Sturdy Made where people would share blueprints
Yeah,
of
yeah.
parkour stuff.
I've still
And
got a few of
obviously,
their
if you want
blueprints
like
saved.
the if you want to buy some premium stuff as well that you can throw in a van, like Brick is there and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Some of that ended up in your gym. We can talk about that. But when you're building out a whole gym, you do need to build things. You can't like kit the whole thing out with modular equipment.
Unless you've got like some multi-million-pound investor,
Yeah,
then you're gonna have to build it. You're gonna have to build it on a budget, but you're gonna have to make sure it's safe. So I remember,
Yeah.
Sean Newsham from Street Monkeys came into our gym the very first time he came to train. He said, "Tom, how thick's the wood you use for this?" Because apparently when they started building theirs, like they got the lease for their building during like the last bit of COVID and their lockdown.
Uh-huh.
So they got the building. They had a couple of months to actually open up.
Oh, so it's a long time to build, really.
Yeah, so they had a good window to build. So they
Yeah,
obviously explored a lot of different options, like what wood works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
So they tried to like minimize costs to use some of the thinner wood, and apparently Sean had done a gainer down to a wooden block and gone straight through it. It was like, right, cool, strip it all,
Yeah.
rebuild it, and they had that time to kind of play test things. I didn't. I was like, I need to know what's going on. So yeah, Sean came in first time and said, "What thickness of plywood are you using? Am I going to go through it?" I was like, "No, I've spent so many hours on the phone to Jake and Liam that
Yeah.
it's definitely up to scratch." And yeah, we've not had anyone go through any of our wood. It's been
Yeah. Well, how long did you have for the build? Because I know, I used to work for a gym called Apes in Australia. I remember one of their locations opened. It was like 72 hours they were building the gym. They were just like not sleeping. It was crazy. And I've seen that with a few gyms where they're like, we're just doing it this weekend, and it's like a massive undertaking. How much time did you have to get it all together?
so we had a lot more time than we needed to get to where we are. We're still not a finished product.
Yeah,
by
and
any
it
stretch of
never
the
is, right?
imagination.
Yeah.
We've still got an entire quarter of the space that is just storage for whatever crap we've got lying around. Like
But you have quite a large space from what I've
Yeah.
heard, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think
awesome.
it's like 8,900 square feet or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, we got the keys on the 24th of February.
Yeah.
We moved in and the power had been turned off by the electric suppliers because the landlord hadn't been paying the electric bills at the time that the space had been empty waiting for our change. It used to be approved. So we had from the 24th of February to the 4th of April where there was no power in the building whatsoever.
For months?
Yeah.
Surely you get a rent break on that.
So yes, we did.
nice.
Like one of the parts of the negotiation that our lease negotiator got was we get 3 months rent free and 3 months at half price rent, and then we start taking it on.
Sure.
He then also the landlord agreed to push the start of that rent free period back until the power had been turned on. So
Okay,
that
that's
that
good.
window was great.
Great. Yeah.
But there was another companies who said they were interested in investing in the business as we opened it,
Right.
wanted to give us some money to do X, Y, Z, like build it up, and they'd come and take a percentage of the business in exchange for it. So we were kind of in talks with this organization, and it got to the point where the power had been turned on, our rent-free period started, and we hadn't come to some sort of an agreement. I hadn't seen any money. We hadn't come to an agreement on the percentage. They wanted to offer us 20 grand for 50% of my business, which To be honest,
it sounds tough.
it's not.
Like, I don't know what the valuations are, but yeah, that's like, less than an
anyone in
annual
business will
salary.
be laughing.
Yeah, it's
at
less
that
than an
amount,
annual salary, so I'm assuming that's not very good.
So yeah, and like the idea of 50% is that they would then have a controlling interest in the company, so they would be able to have equal decision on what happens from there. I wasn't willing to give up 50% of what, like, that decision making.
Yeah,
It's
your
love having
business,
input.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely would love having input from XYZ, all sorts of other places. I'm happy to listen, but I'm also not about to give a controlling stake for the sake of 20 grand.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, totally fair. Yeah,
But
but
because
it's interesting that there was interest in it as well.
because we were in these talks, I'd put off doing a lot of the work in the building. The power was off.
Yeah,
I think because they were talking about, right, we'll come in, we'll do this, we'll set up the reception like this, we'll set up the office like this, we'll start building this. They like even drew designs for what the park was going to look like and said, right, we'll do this, 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 and this. And yeah, I was like, okay.
So it's just unfortunate, I guess.
Yeah, like I waited for that to kind of come to fruition because I didn't want to get started building it on the budget that I had, because just for them to come to for us to come to an agreement and then have to destroy everything I've built.
Totally fair.
But when it ended up falling through, it kind of left me a little bit screwed because I've wasted 2 months at least. Before that, I could have been building stuff and getting stuff sorted. So yeah, we had about a month to do the build before we officially opened.
But big gym as well.
Yeah. But we also didn't have the budget to do a huge build. So like it wasn't like we spend 3 full days in the gym, we don't sleep and we get it all built. It was done over the course of like 3-4 weeks. Like we had our own equipment from other places.
Like your own like carpentry equipment, essentially.
Yeah.
Did you have any like carpenters, like anyone who knew what they were doing, be like from that professional perspective?
Nope. It was entirely it was all built by me and like a little bit of help from my partner, a little bit of help from some of the other coaches.
Sure.
Mostly it was built by me, one manning, like just.
Yeah, I was going to ask how many people you have in there helping, right?
So now we've got a lot more.
But like for the build, like not
for the build, I think the most we ever had in the room was 4 people.
Yeah, because when I talk about these people doing it, you got like, 3-4 business people, and then the rest are like just volunteers.
Yeah.
And then you've got someone's mate who's a carpenter who like is actually just like kind of running the show a little bit. Yeah,
exactly. So we literally, I'd got the information from Jake and Liam, and I was like, right, this is the specification we're working to. I did all the designs, I ordered all the wood, told everyone what to cut and what to do. So I was playing that role.
Yeah, yourself.
Damn.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
but like it's bad. Yeah,
great
hats
learning
you have
experience.
to wear. You just want to do some jumps. Now you're building. Yeah.
So yeah, like the actual build, it was about a month, but all we really built when we first moved in was the foam pit, like our massive foam pit. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it.
Yeah.
That was all I actually built for the opening. We had a sprung floor ready that we'd bought secondhand from a gymnastics club that closed down 3-4 years previously that had just been sat in
storage.
There
are lots of gymnastics clubs closing down, so
what a shame.
You've got that going.
What a shame. Yeah, we had other towers and various bits, like more vault boxes than anyone could ever need. If anyone needs to buy a vault box, drop me a message. We've got like 20 of them.
Yeah, okay. See, someone might drop you a message.
Yeah, literally drop me a message. We've got more than we need. Please take a couple off my hands.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then, so launch, what was that like? So you finally launched. How long have you had the building for at this point?
So we opened on the 2nd of June last year.
Okay. Middle of summer.
So, yeah,
nice.
About 9 months we've been open.
Yeah.
Middle of summer, you say nice. It actually screwed us.
Oh, it's too hot.
Pretty hard. Everyone wants to go and do stuff during summer holidays, so nobody's signing up for parkour classes and memberships. So actually, it was the worst time of the year to open.
Did you try holiday workshops or?
Yeah, we did all the holiday camps as well, but
it was indoors, I guess.
Yeah.
True.
So yeah, it was a very slow burner as we opened. We've been financially, we've been struggling for a long time.
Yeah.
And we're still fighting against it. Now it's not like we're not in the clear by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going in the right direction for the first time ever. Yes. So in September we got to the point where our rent-free period and half rent was expiring.
Crunch time.
And I had to email the landlord saying basically we're not going to be able to afford to pay this. Is there any extension on the rent-free period you can give us? or any like accommodation you can make for it. And they got back to us. They said, we can't give you any more rent-free period, but we can start taking the rent out of the deposit you've paid us until the end of December,
Okay.
and we'll make some sort of payment plan for you to start repaying that then, because we
Right.
just needed that window to
Yeah.
get things up to speed. At which point, like, we fought, trying to get more members through the door. Like, it's just marketing was not something I was ever good at with
Yeah. So
the
how do you
satellite
do that?
clubs.
How do you get people in the door? Right.
So these days, like, we've had a big restructure in January, and we do things completely differently. Previously, with satellite clubs, it was we basically just had the website that linked straight to our booking system, and if you wanted to come, you booked class. Like, we had no contact with people beforehand. Like, they'd search for us, they'd find us, and they'd book.
And did you do any like SEO warfare, right? Trying to get your search up, or
Funnily enough, we don't need to. So our SEO is good. Whenever you search parkour in any of the locations we've taught, we're top.
right? Nice.
But that's not necessarily because we're fantastic at SEO. That's because there's no other competition.
Sure. Yeah.
There's one other guy who runs parkour classes in Manchester, and his SEO either isn't as strong as ours, or we've been around longer, so our rating's a little bit higher. So his has always been below ours. So yeah, we've never had to wage SEO warfare on anyone.
Okay, interesting.
It's been quite easy. Like, as long as the website is strong, people find us.
Yeah.
Doesn't work now because
Well, there needs to be the interest in parkour.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've restructured everything. Now we've got actual Facebook ads running for the first time in 9 years.
It's
which
effective. Well, it's parents on Facebook. It's not kids. So get straight to them.
exactly that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing Facebook ads. We've got the website set up so it's a bit more streamlined, and we get people to give us their information before they can actually sign up for a class, before they can even see our timetable. So we've got then their contact information. We can actually reach out and say, right, how can we help you get booked for a class, rather than just waiting for them to do it off their own back, because people will do that all the time. They'll look at something online, they'll go, oh, they've got a class there. I might do it in a month or so, and just walk past it. Like,
Yeah, just stay on them. And that's how a lot of these businesses run. Like, you get to so many websites of big companies, and the first thing they want you to do is put your email in, get you 15% off, whatever. They want to, they want that contact point.
exactly.
And I'm sure there's like endless research on this kind of stuff.
100%. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. Like, we've got everyone coming in, giving us their information before they sign up for a class. We can then get in touch with them, give them a phone call, explain how everything works, answer any of the questions they have, and try and get them booked there. And then once they're in the building, as most parkour coaches will be able to test, it's so much easier to keep them. Once they've seen what you're doing, once you've...
The product's good.
Yeah, the product isn't the problem. It's getting people to come and see the product. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's where we're at.
So what is this kind of recent restructuring you've done as well to make things a bit more effective for your business?
So, like I said, financially, we've been struggling for a long time. I was watching the SPL live stream at some point. I think it might have been last year's one, and I saw one of the sponsors for the event are a group called Motion Mentors. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. Googled it, Motion Mentors. It's a group in America run by a guy called Jimmy Davidson, who runs Freedom in Motion Academy.
Okay.
And Motion Mentors he's set up a organization or a company designed to mentor parkour businesses, and like, it could work with any business essentially in the leisure industry, but work with these companies to help them build sustainable business models.
Oh wow.
They've got a free PDF on there. Yeah. Right, guys, write this down. Swear to you, it's the best thing I ever did. Wow. They've got a free PDF on their website which runs you through like a basic bit. He's also released a book which it's controversially is called $1 Million Parkour Gym, but
well, in the US there are a couple of them though.
Yeah,
like there are some gyms in the US that are making serious money. It's not impossible, right?
Not at all. So yeah, after reading I think the first 33 pages of this free PDF, I was like, I'll just buy the book. All of this is fantastic information. It's really, really useful. Even just bits on like how to operate your marketing strategies and everything, stuff that people don't tell you when you're coaching because you're a coach. It's the entrepreneur side on like how to get people through the door, how to then nurture those leads to actually get them in. Because we've already said, we know that the product is good. It's how do we get people there? And
so there's a whole book about how to run a parkour gym.
Yeah.
Essentially, I'll snip this and throw it on socials.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. I had no idea.
It's the secret. So we did a big restructure. Like, the one thing that I was very, very nervous about was like I think it was on maybe the 10th page of his free PDF is pricing.
Yeah.
Okay. The price of parkour gyms and where we're at the moment, at least in the UK, we do not value our coaching highly enough.
Right.
And that was the big thing that I took away from this, is that the trampoline, so we're on the same industrial estate as the trampoline park. They're literally next door. Their customers dominate the car park whenever it's school holidays, an absolute nightmare. Those guys are charging 15 quid for an hour to throw your kid away and go let them bounce.
Yeah.
We were charging 15 quid for a pay-as-you-go parkour class with some of the most qualified parkour coaches in the UK.
Yeah.
With, like you've already said, one of the most decorated parkour athletes in the UK.
Yeah, it's a different service entirely.
It's an entirely different service, and we were charging less than an hour on a trampoline park.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Well, the Americans know how to charge for things as well.
Yes.
And they're willing to pay somewhat, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like in terms of what we'd been valuing ourselves at, massively underpricing ourselves.
Right.
Which was the first piece of what we had to do to restructure everything. We restructured our memberships entirely. Our previous membership, so we're now, I think, and I could probably put money on this, is we are now the most expensive parkour coaching service in the whole of the UK.
Oh, wow.
Quite a long way. Like, if anyone else is charging more than us, fair play. I was too terrified to even go higher than this.
Wow, that's interesting.
So our previous one class a week package was £55 a month. So just less than £15 a class, unless there were 5 weeks in that month, and that kid was getting a class for like 12 quid. We now charge for our one class a week package £130 every 4 weeks.
Okay.
So nearly a triple price increase.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I enjoyed doing at all. Like, parkour should be accessible. Like, all those people that are now screaming at you, how are you charging this? Like, I completely get it. Parkour should absolutely be accessible, but also we should be charging what parkour is worth if we are charging at all. So we've got a class package for one class a week at £130 every 4 weeks, 2 classes a week at £160, with the idea being that it's way more value for money to take the 2 classes a week.
Yeah, which is the way you want to do it. That's how like kickboxing gyms and stuff do it. Because I've been looking at signing up for one of those. It was like £10 or £15 more for the 2 classes than the one.
Yeah. But if you look at any other sport, your team sports, your football, basketball, netball, they all do twice a week.
Yeah.
As a standard. You do one training day and you do one match day a week. That is how people progress, and that's how these sports that are passion sports actually build.
Yeah, it's not just like a kind of casual interest then. Like, you're doing this sport, you know?
Yeah. This is your sport. And I feel like, on the whole, parkour organizations, myself included, for years have been neglecting that side of, like, we're all passionate about it and we're assuming that everyone else is, but actually if you treat it like a hobby sport, people are only ever going to...
It's such a good point, because often there's this divide between people who use parkour gyms and just casually engage in the sport there, and then the parkour for lifers, right?
Exactly.
And then, and now there's this competitive infrastructure as well, which kids are interested in, and they want somewhere to take the sport, right?
Yeah.
And beyond just like filming on the streets, having that same emphasis that you do on other sports, because otherwise it doesn't get taken seriously, because we're not presenting it seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no, I'm fully with you on that. It's like, you come to do parkour and like, this is your sport. You're doing it. You're not doing parkour once a week and football twice a week.
Yeah.
Like, you're hitting gaps, you know?
Yeah. That's what I wanted to really get. Like,
that makes sense. Like,
there are some people that can't do twice a week. So we've got the once a week package. Sure. The twice a week is what we really should be aiming for all of our students.
Yeah. If you're serious about a sport, you do it twice a week. Standard.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, we've had a big restructure around that, which again, we're still undercharging based on what this book suggested. They suggested that 50 members should be able to cover your fixed expenses, like your rent and your business rates and all that kind of stuff, which meant we would have had to be charging, I think, £166 per month for a 1 class a week membership.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
I
mean, that's a bit more American pricing, especially you're in the North, and like, it's so community focused, and people like to keep things cheap and like really make it accessible. Like, that's also a very cultural thing, right?
100%.
So yeah, totally fair to find like a middle ground there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And like, now it's been a tough thing. Like, putting that announcement out that we're essentially tripling our prices was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Like, because I didn't want to do it, but we were in the stage where basically if we didn't make any sort of drastic changes, we'd have been closed by the end of February.
And this is what happens to a lot of gyms. They just disappear,
Yeah.
you know, because they're unwilling to be, I guess, a little bit capitalist, a little bit cutthroat, you know. And as long as like the product is good, right, and the students and parents are happy, like, then it works. You know what I mean?
So the day I sent that email out, the 2 weeks after that, I was just bombarded with emails, upset parents,
Sure.
pissed off parents. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
it was genuinely, during those 2 weeks,
Well, it's tough to do it not progressively as well, like to do it just like in a hit,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
It's more honest, I think, actually,
Well,
but it's tough.
that was it. My email was very much, guys, we're going under. Like,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna,
yeah, yeah,
we're,
yeah.
we're not going to be here if I don't do this. I'm sorry, I don't want to do it, but this is where we're at, and like, I totally understand. Like, we gave them plenty, so we gave them a month and a half notice before anything came in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but there were still people, like,
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks worth of email. And I was sat there for at least 2 weeks thinking, if this is what everyone thinks, why on earth am I bothering? Like, it's not genuinely. My mental state at that time was,
I can only
I don't want to
imagine.
be running this business anymore. People
Yeah.
don't value what I'm doing and what my coaches are doing. People don't even, like, they expect to be given everything for free while we're trying, like, I can't even afford to pay my bills.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so fair from you, and I understand the parents. Like in a way, it's fair from
100%,
them,
yeah.
but like that's how it is, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes away, right?
So, yeah, and like that was the big thing. It was, oh, I think it's really unfair. Like, you're cutting people out that have been doing this for so long, and like, they're not gonna be able to do parkour anymore. I'm like, well, it's either we cut these people out, unfortunately, or everyone loses it.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, like, we battled through that, but now that that's finally gone through, we had plenty of people who just were like, cool, we get it. It's not ideal, but jumping over, like, didn't question it at all, just signed straight up for the new stuff.
Yeah.
And now every new person we get through the building, their membership is worth 3 times what the previous new people were. So we don't have to fight so hard to get,
Yeah, yeah.
like, street monkeys at the moment. I think I was talking to Sean the other week at the Business Owners Forum, and he said they've got 500 members at the moment.
Mm.
I don't have to worry about getting to 500. I actually only need to get to 120.
Yeah.
To cover all my costs.
And then I guess you just need to worry about having a premium service,
Yeah.
making sure people are happy, they're progressing, you know, they loving the sport. And like,
Exactly
if
that.
that's the case, then, you know, people, people who can't afford it won't come through the door, unfortunately, but then the ones that can will be happy with the
Yeah.
service.
And the
Yeah.
plan is to hopefully try and set up some more satellite clubs again in the next month or so,
Yeah.
so that we can offer this is an entry level price, like something a little bit more for those people who can't afford the idea of this facility that we've got. Like, we can go back to running classes at school sports hall alongside everything in a local area, so you don't have to travel
Yeah.
at a more affordable price, because it's not the same standard of service that we're offering over here.
And ideally, so with that gym as well, because what gyms do is they start, it takes a while, but they start to build a community, like a parkour community as well. So because you're doing that, maybe not everyone can afford it, right? And you don't have your 500 members, you got, 120, whatever it is. Over time, you build a community and you give back to the city in that way. Say you do your satellite clubs and you get people involved. Now you've created over time a system of somewhere for them to go, because there is a community of people just training for free outdoors in addition to the service you offer. And the Manchester community has been lacking for years, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you're building that back up. And then if you give people these little entry points, and they can't afford necessarily to go to your gym, they can still actively enjoy parkour, progress, be part of a community in Manchester, a community that you wouldn't have without the gym. So it's it's a weird one, right? It's
Yeah.
almost like government policy, which is like not going to be in effect till like 4 or 5 years down the line. But it is a net positive for everyone. The fact that the gym is still alive.
Yeah. And one other thing I have noticed since increasing the prices, the quality of the classes has gone up massively, because
Well, yeah,
we
ideally, right? Yeah.
in like in the nicest way possible, we've lost a lot of the kids who their parents were just using it as trampoline park and throwing the kids away for an hour. We don't have to deal with the kids who don't give a crap about parkour and they're just there to mess
The
around.
daycare kids.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
deal with that. We deal with the kids that are actually wanting to be there and wanting to work.
Yeah.
And my word, the quality of our sessions
Wow.
in this last month since we increased the prices is unbelievably
Because
high.
the cheap daycare thing is an issue sometimes, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? So I guess if you have like a really high ratio of kids that want to be there, like that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what you want, right?
that's where we're at the moment. Like, every
Wow.
kid wants to be there, and
Wow.
every kid is like phenomenal to work with. We have, like, the usual parkour, ADHD, and autism. Like, we have kids that are harder work in a class, but they actually still want to be
Yeah,
there
but
and they
they're
enjoy it.
so passionate still.
Exactly.
Even if they're like difficult to work with, but 100%, yeah, the passion's there. It's often more so with those groups, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I hear that for sure. And it is such a struggle. And like if you're enjoying doing it more as well, like that's a huge benefit,
Yeah.
right?
I
No, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a really tough journey, but I think there's loads in there that people are gonna get something positive out of. You
I
know?
hope so. Like it's been a nightmare of a journey, and like you said, like there needs to be more support for people who want to start doing this.
Yes.
The issue I think there is because everything happened so fast. Like just talking from my own experience, like all these hidden costs that I didn't expect, lease negotiators, solicitors, deposit being X, Y, Z. Like obviously you expect the deposit, but all these little things adding up. I didn't sit down and write down all of these. Like it's in my accounts, obviously, but I didn't sit down and make notes of right. We paid this at this time, this at this time. So even if someone came to me, I wouldn't be able to fully prepare them for what's about to come if they wanted to go down this road. Like I can give them little
Sure,
bits of
yeah.
information, but
It's just a leg up. That's all we wanna
yeah,
give, you know? And then tips like what you're saying about the agent, right? Whatever, what was it called?
motion mentors.
No,
Oh
no,
no, the lease negotiator.
lease
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
negotiator, and then the book, Motion
Yeah.
Mentors, and then stuff like that, like, and then, you know, where are the resources for how to build your gym, all that stuff, like, anything we can do because, yeah, right now there's so little out there, but there is something at least. Sweet. Before we finish, I wanted to just get you to touch on the stuff you've done, the work you've done for Parkour UK, which is on a separate thing, around building like a competition framework. So what was that role? What have you done? Like, yeah, just let the people know.
Cool. So the initial role I had with Parkour UK, it was a 6 month contract with them to do 32 hours a week, setting up their competition framework. I think the idea behind that was they wanted a master document that basically outlined every way you could possibly run a parkour competition, all the other things you need to think about, like the event management, not just this is how a speed format works, this is how a skill format works, but
Yeah,
the safeguarding, the event management, how to deal with volunteers, other jobs judging, how do you train your judges, that kind of thing. Put it all into a master document
just everything.
so that, again, creating a resource for people in parkour who
Yep.
want to start these competitions but don't quite know how, you could give them this document and say, right, enjoy it, and they'll be able
Crack
to.
on, yeah.
Um, what followed from that, so I did that. Like there's still little bits that want tweaking in that document. It wants play testing and it wants a lot more refinement, not just from myself and my research. I obviously spoke to people along the way, but it wants people to refine that and use it.
Yeah. Because the
Uh,
idea was also that we would use it,
Yes.
right? Eventually.
So I don't think initially. I think initially when my job title or my job role was
Yeah.
written, Parkour UK was still in that we want nothing to do with competitions phase, or like not we want nothing to do, but
But
our
it's-
funding wasn't
yeah.
for competitions.
And it still kind of isn't, but we're moving in that direction, and we're going to be sort of ambitiously applying for funding that's to support it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I think that is what came as a result of the work I did. Obviously I created the framework. I had a very close working relationship with the rest of Parkour UK and Sam in particular, and said like, there's a gap in the market for like we don't have a national championships, we don't have youth competitions, like there's all this that is going to happen very soon in parkour, and to be honest, as a governing body, Parkour UK should be a part of that, whether they want to organise it or whether it's done like through
Absolutely.
organisations. Parkour UK as a governing body should have some input in the competitive scene within the
Yeah.
parkour.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of where the second part of my role kind of developed from. It was
Yes, you finished that, and then there was like a new part to the role.
yeah, pretty much. So
Because that document exists now, right?
it exists. I don't know where you would get it without. I
think it's on the website.
Oh, cool.
I could be
So-
wrong, to be honest. I
Yeah,
could definitely be wrong.
If not, if you do want that,
Yeah.
you could. I'm sure by getting in touch with Parkour UK, they can
Yeah,
hand it out to people. If not, I've
it's
obviously got a copy of it as well.
Yeah. But we're not hiding it, basically.
No, exactly, like-
anyone that wants help running a competition is kind of like a manual.
That's what it was there for. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not for me to use. It's not explicitly for Parkour UK. It's supposed to be for the community because obviously that's what all of Parkour UK's funding was for. It was to like help the community.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's what.
And
that
to
piece is
grow
there.
the sport as well. There's a major emphasis on
Yes.
that, right? Yeah.
So yeah, my secondary role out once the framework was completed was to get to a place where we could set up some sort of national parkour championships, which is going to be happening alongside the Parkour Earth, like international world championships. But I'm not dealing with that as much. Like I've got the framework there, but it's going to fall more in line with the Parkour Earth framework than what I've created.
Sure.
Which, to be honest, there's a lot of crossovers because I did work quite heavily with a lot of the people within parkour
within
that we're
parkour.
creating that.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
So they have their own framework.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
What my role then became was to help develop the youth competition side of
Right.
things, because I'd seen youth competitions done a couple of times at Project Underground and at Grim Jam, and I was
There's a huge gap in the market, but I saw them done. A couple of times I was flown out to the USA Parkour Cup, which is the much smaller competition compared to SPL,
yeah,
right? People don't like the high level people don't take it as seriously, but on the youth side, it's fantastic. We had families flying from all around the country into Texas for the competition. They had all the different age categories. It's definitely like the best youth comp I've ever seen. And just for that, I thought, wow, like we need more of this, right? And they were taking it seriously like they do the other sports where the parents travel around and, you got the super parents who have loads of kids who all do sports and they spend all their time in hotels going and taking their kids around. It was like just another sport, which I think we need to lean more into, not being too edgy and quirky, like being another serious competitive sport the kids want to do. Yeah, just as that's what I always think of when I think kids competitions and what they could be, right?
so that's where I want parkour to get to.
Yeah.
In the UK at the very least.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're doing it in America. Great. That's what I want the UK to be.
Yeah.
The youth competitions I'd seen in the UK, I hadn't been impressed with. Not that they were bad, but for example, the Grim Jam one, absolutely love Grim Jam, absolutely love Team Reality. But I had a couple of my students come over for the youth version of that. It was just speed comp on the final day of Grim Jam before the adults comp started. And it was the kids had 15 to 20 minutes to practice the speed course, and then they got one go around the speed run.
Yeah.
That for kids who've traveled 2.5 hours to get there felt a little bit underwhelming for me as their
It's a
coach.
bit tacked on, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what it's always been. Like the youth comps have been tacked onto other events, and they've done well with the time they've had and with the limitations they've had because it is the adult event or the
Yeah.
community event, but they've not done right by what a youth comp could be.
Yeah, and
That
what
was
the experience, that
yeah,
might cause someone to really go into the sport or pull back from it. Like Project Underground, Liam has talked about. I'll talk to him when I have him on the pod about it,
yeah.
about potentially separating the events
It's mentioned that, yeah.
because he has such a packed schedule at Project. And I'm very pro that. Now there is like a thing of you still want the kids to show up and watch the incredible athletes they might want to become. But if you split them up, then like a couple weeks before or whatever, a couple weeks after, then like they really have their time, right?
Yeah. So that was my thing. I wanted to create a youth competition, the idea of a youth competition where kids could come and they would get something out of it. Like it would not just be, oh, I've got 25 minutes of moving and then I'm done. Like, so I created one that we used in Project Z. We call it Movement Fusion. And the idea was it was a combination of the 3 different rounds of parkour competition. We've got 1 round of skill, 1 round of speed, 1 round of style. Everybody does 1 of each, and they get a score for each, which totals up, so we get an overall winner. Because another thing I didn't like the idea of was, as a coach, I don't want my kids having to specialize in a speed, skill, or style
Especially not that young.
that young.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So I was like,
And if it does get into the Olympics, as a side note, they probably will give us 1 medal, regardless of what federation. It happened to climbing, and
Yeah.
those are really different sports. But they made like the speed climbers do the bouldering and whatever. They gave them 1 medal in the first Olympics.
wow.
So just so you know, like the best parkour athlete in the first Olympics when it happens will probably be the best all rounder.
So Ed Scott, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So yeah, we did that, and we made it like my first one. I did 4 hours. Like it was a 4-hour competition. We had 2 different age groups running. They'd have like half an hour at skill round, then the next age group half an hour, and then we'd do style, speed. We've now changed the format and made it a 2-hour event, but split the age groups. So 2 hours is half an hour longer than a football match. The idea was I wanted a parkour competition that felt like your other sports match days.
Yes. Yeah.
That you could go to, you know exactly what you're going to get, and there's no surprises, and there's not a crap load of waiting around.
Yeah, and you get stuck in like you might mess up in one comp. You got something else to look forward to. Like fully like it's a proper day that you get the most out of, right?
Exactly. So yeah, my role with Parkour UK was we had a multi-year plan on, we want parkour in the UK for youths to get to that stage that you mentioned with the Americans.
Yeah.
But we're not at that stage yet where people would travel around the country for it. Year 1 was supposed to be, we get just a number of youth competitions pop up across the various gyms, put the Parkour UK badge on it. Like it would be run by the organization, but like almost give it a Parkour UK stamp of approval. This is a Parkour UK event.
Sure.
You know what format you're going to get, you know what it's going to look like, and you know that the standards are high.
Yeah.
And then by year 2, we could then maybe start doing into like maybe more regional competitions. So we do a couple that tie together, and then by year 3, 4, 5, we could then get towards the international stuff.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
kind of
sick. Yeah.
that was the idea.
I mean, the benefit we have, obviously, they got way more money and infrastructure in the States, but the benefit we have here is proximity.
Mhm.
You can get people around the country. You can get people across Europe and stuff like with relative ease.
Yeah.
So I guess we need to at least lean into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the plan. I got in touch with all of the owners of like parkour gyms that I could think would be interested in running this, like the bigger gyms. I got in touch with Team Reality, Nova, Street Monkeys, Fluidity, Aspire, Spiral. Got in touch with everyone that I could think of that would be interested in running one of these competitions, and only one of them followed through with it.
So we got work to do there.
Yeah, and I think
I feel like sometimes there are event gyms and non-event gyms. Like some are just so into it, and some like
Yeah.
just run their business.
like there were multiple reasons why it didn't happen. Like everyone said they were interested, but none of them, or only Kieran from Aspire actually followed through with having one. And it didn't, or it unfortunately didn't do as well, I think, because he organised it on the weekend after mine
Right.
at the same time. So there was a little bit of like
crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, it was, some of them just don't have the space in their timetable. Street Monkeys have classes literally every hour they're open.
Wow.
I've set up my gym so that Saturday afternoons we don't do anything from 1 o'clock onwards. So that'll be our event time.
Great. Is that open session normally, or
open session normally? And then when we've got an event, we cancel the open sessions and drop something on. So we don't have to cancel classes. Street Monkeys don't have that luxury. They've got classes all the way through their Saturdays and Sundays. For them to run an event at the weekend, they'd have to cancel and give people money back or try and fit them in other class spaces.
Well, ideally, you'd want everyone to turn up to the event, but yeah,
Exactly.
It's a tough ask. Yeah.
But yeah, if they're then paying for the event, can we get a discount on our membership because you cancelled our class? Like it's a whole back and forth thing. So they've got a whole thing to fight.
Sure.
Some of the others, Spiral, said that they've tried running competitions before and none of their students seem interested in it, so it wasn't a priority for them.
Okay.
Like loads of different things, like loads of reasons why.
Yeah, fair reasons.
And very fair reasons, yeah. But if we're going to get it to this stage, we need some people to kind of take the leap.
Yeah.
And at the Business Owners Forum I was at last week. There were quite a few people there interested. So hopefully this year we're going to get a few more youth comps popping up again. Same structure, start bopping the Parkour UK stamp of approval on it. This has got high standards, same format, and hopefully it's going to start this year.
Mate, that sounds awesome. That sounds so good. And I guess there's so many things that I'd love to cover, but as we need to wrap it up, finally, like, I guess to finish, where do you want to see parkour? Over the coming years. I want to see that happen. I want to see youth comps grow. I want to see our competitive circuit grow, be more mainstream. Where are you hoping this sport can grow to for our next generation? So, which is something you're very much part of.
Cool. I think priorities for me with the stage I'm at, I want more parkour gyms to open around the UK.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I think
love that.
Parkour UK, since we launched our organization like 2 and a bit years ago, we haven't been like too focused on that yet because we have so many other priorities. That's going to slowly become a bigger priority.
That's the impression I got at the Business Owners Forum last week.
Yeah, we really want to do that, and we want to create a strong proof of concept, and then go to councils around the country and do it. So there is work to be done in that area for us for sure. Yeah.
So that's one of them. More parkour gyms. I want more competitions for youth. Like I want us to actually do that properly rather than just being tack-ons. I want the youth to get what they want because
you grow the sport.
It is, and all of our organizations work like pretty much 90% with kids. Why are we not channeling that? Like,
why are we only going for the elite people that decided that without any real like competition or prospects, they just decide to go headlong into competition? The amount of leveling up you get in the sport. I mean, that's why Sweden's so strong, because they're all coming through this gym circuit where they do that. Right? They do exactly that. They have these kids like regular competitions, and they really drive for it. Yeah, man, 100%.
And there was the third one that has completely gone from my brain.
I don't know, commercial interests like Olympics or anything in that regard.
I think it was. So for me, I don't have a stake in. I want it to be in the Olympics. Like I want there to be some sort of international parkour competition, which we know is happening this year with Parkour Earth. Obviously, SPL is doing a great job of being a competition that brings in people from all around the world, but it's not an international event in the sense that you don't have people from every country kind of applying to it. It's those that have pre-qualified from open events kind of.
And it's growing, but it's also held in Vancouver at the most expensive time of the year to fly to Vancouver. So it's tough, right?
That's why I didn't go.
Yes, exactly. That's why you didn't go even though you were qualified. So it's a really tough ask, and they do a really good job regardless. But I know what you mean, like an internationally recognized competition that's that's on your sports channels and stuff like that. It might not be too big, but that's out there, right? I get what you're saying.
That was the last one. I want us to get to a point where the kids we're working with treat parkour like a passion sport rather than a hobby sport. Like, there are
Wow,
some
it's
that
interesting way
do
to
it,
put it.
like, there's a
Yeah, yeah.
percentage of them that do, but I would love if we could get even close to 50% of them doing it as a passion sport, not just, "I do this once a week and it's fun."
That's such an important distinction that I've like never heard anyone make with those specific words, a
Yeah.
passion sport or a hobby sport. Yeah. And once you make that leap, it's a different thing. And in order to do that, I guess you need prospects, you need people to look up to, you need to think, maybe I could make a career from doing this
Yeah.
professionally. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Fantastic,
That's
mate.
my things.
Thanks so much for coming on. I
No,
mean,
thanks for having me.
we'll probably get you on again at some point, but there's still so much to cover. But I thought that was fantastic. That was a lot of really solid information. Hopefully, people get some help from when they're trying to start their parkour businesses and compete and all that goodness. So
And if you do have any questions, business, competitions, otherwise, just drop us a message. Like, any of us that are in the parkour
yeah.
business own in industry, I'm more than happy to answer any questions you've got.
You are not alone. Yeah, awesome. So thanks so much for that. Parkour.uk, best URL in the business for events, news, where to start parkour. I mean, if you've listened this far and haven't started parkour yet, that's pretty awesome, but you got to get on there. So thank you for everyone here at Parkour UK. Cheers.